calves over there. Haven't done one of these in a minute. So, just a thought to proclaim to you guys. You could frame this as a question or as a statement. I've chosen to frame it as a statement, but apply it as a question. Jesus is Lord over your character and your content. This has to do with those who are trying to build a platform. And so if you frame it in the form of a question, it becomes more convicting. Is Jesus Lord of your character and your content? Everybody in the Christian nationalism world wants to proclaim that Christ is King. Let's get back to the lordship of Christ over everything, including you. And this is not specifically a dig on Christian nationalism, although it can apply there. It's a dig in social media in regards to what I would call like conservative platforms and that sort of thing, who are working hard, I guess maybe not specifically in the Christian nationalism realm, but they are working hard in the cultural realm and to some degree in some political realm. There were some elections, I think yesterday, that were important, and everybody goes out and creates content to reply to that. Now, it applies to more than that. It applies to everything that you are messaging on your platform, if you have one. Is Christ Lord over, first of all, your character? It's in that order. Is he master of your character? If he is, it will influence the content that you create. If he's not, you can still use religious terminology and that sort of thing and get the followers you want to believe how very religious and spiritual or whatever that you are by throwing around religious terminology and concepts. But what I'm challenging you with is whether you have the character to back up the content that you're producing. Do you have integrity? Do you have love for Christ above everything else? Love for the gospel above everything else? Here's Jacob. Hey, brother. Do you have a love for his word that drives your content and drives your, more importantly, drives your character, which will in turn drive your content? Jesus said it this way. He said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. If Christ is Lord over your character, the content that you put out will reflect it. And it won't be something that's messaged for the algorithm or for the echo chamber. It's something that will come out of who you are, because of whose you are, and you are consumed with Christ. Consumed with Christ means that on the daily, you're going to be in his word. You're going to be reading the Bible. It means that you're going to be praying on the daily. It means that on the regular, you're going to be going to church. Hey, Nick. On the regular, you're going to be driven by your walk with Christ. And so if you are driven by your walk with Christ, it will come out in your character, your character will change, and you will do these things not to create better content, but you will do these things primarily to deal with your own character. And then, in turn, as your character is developed by Christ, the content that you produce will be Christ exalting. It will be with an eye to exalt him in his gospel, and your concern will be transformed so that the issue is not primarily your algorithm, but your issue is primarily where do people stand with Christ. Somewhere along the way, you will make that an issue. You'll make it an issue in your content, and it will affect actually real people. You'll talk to real people and not care whether or not they follow you or like your content. It will transform everything. If you do all of that, you put Christ first, and you are focused on your own walk with him, and then the content will reflect it. This is a really simple concept, but I think it has to be said. And the reason why it has to be said is because right now, if you want to build a platform that draws in a lot of people, all you have to do is wrap yourself in the Republican Party. You can talk spiritually. There's a lot of content creators who talk about Jesus generally. They talk about the scriptures and might even apply those scriptures to specific issues. But the character of who they are is not real if you get to know them at all beyond their public space. The character is not real. And they're often using the Bible. They're also often using Christ as a tool to manipulate people to get them to be their followers. Now, there's another name for this in the Bible, and the other name for this is false teacher. False teacher. You will see often that in the New Testament, the warnings about false teachers and false prophets include the warning that their God is their belly, that they are primarily in it for money and not for the sake of Christ or the gospel. And so you won't hear them very often proclaiming the gospel. They'll talk about religious things, and they'll talk about Christ generally and the scriptures as principles to back up the political ideologies that they have. But their main focus is not the proclamation of Christ in their life. If they're doing conferences, if they're building platforms, is to talk about some issue divorced from the gospel. And if you say you should be proclaiming the gospel, they will say in return, do I have to talk about Jesus all the time? Do I have to talk about him in everything that I do? Well, he shouldn't be a tool in your toolbox in order for you to get clicks or to get donations. And you can do it, and it's demonstrated, it's demonstrable that people have done it, that organizations come out of nowhere, and within a space of a couple of years, their executives are paid a couple $100,000 a year, and their organizations are bringing in somewhere around $500,000 a month within very little time. But they're doing exactly what I'm telling you that they're doing. If you go to their events or watch their content, gospel proclamation is absent for the sake of a cause. And then they'll work with anybody ecumenically, whether they're false teachers, whether they are even Christians or not. they'll justify it, and this is a neat trick that they've come up with. People who are not part of the kingdom that they're working with, and people who are not not Christians, not part of the kingdom, and not proclaiming the gospel, proclaiming even a false gospel, and they'll say, well, this is the gospel of the kingdom, brother. This is the gospel of the kingdom. I just wonder how the gospel of the kingdom can include people who don't believe the gospel and who are not part of the kingdom. You'll never see this gospel of the kingdom spelled out explicitly anywhere. They just kind of infer it, and they'll lump it under that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the safety net to avoid that is Christ over character and your content. If Christ is king in your life and reality, that will protect you from doing that kind of baloney. There's better words to describe it, but I'll go with baloney right now. It will keep you with something, a message to say. You'll have something more than what's being repeated in an echo chamber if you have Christ as king or as Lord over your content. Lots of talk about Christ being king, not much talk about him being in control of your character or your content. If he is, you will not use the gospel or the word of God to manipulate people. And I've seen it. So much, it's disgusting. Narcissists who will seek to build their platforms knowing the right things to say in the algorithm within the echo chamber. But they say things about unity publicly while out of either the other side of their mouth or behind the scenes, they are tearing people down privately and trying to destroy them. And so they'll say, oh, brother, I love you. And what they really want is to manipulate you to be quiet about principles that are actually biblical, not just catered to the echo chamber or the donation bottom line. And they want to silence you, and they manipulate you. That's not Christ over character. And even their content becomes hypocritical, because then they'll say those things about unity publicly while they sow division on their own. And because of the size of the platform, because of the notoriety of the person, that's what they do. But if Christ is king over your character and Christ is king over your content, he will thereby become king over your content. And you won't do that, and you'll proclaim Christ, and you won't settle for anything less than that. You'll be involved in his church, and you'll be giving your life for the sake of these things, and not the sake of your platform. So be careful out there. It's a minefield. You have a lot of people that want your attention, they want your clicks, and they want your money. Just be aware. But for yourself, just know that you need to have Christ as king. Look at, he died for your sins. He rose from the dead. He conquered death, right? He ascended into heaven above every principality and power. He is seated, Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father. And the scriptures even say that you're seated with him. One day, Christ is going to literally come back to this planet, and win the whole thing. And when he comes with 10,000s of his saints to do it. Christ has not only saved you, he's given you the victory over the demonic realm, over the world system. And one day, when he returns, he comes with his people to establish justice. It's all about Christ. It won't be any organization. It won't be Students for Life. It won't be Choice for Two. It won't be Abolitionist Rising. It won't be Live Action that comes back with Christ to win it all. It will be Christ. If we really love him, we will be in his word, we'll be saturated with him, his word, and who he is, and he will be the great passion of our life, not the growth of our own organizations, and not trying to impress people to get them to share our content. It will be that we're driven by Christ. We're driven by his gospel. That is what the scriptures require. It's what Jesus required to come follow him. He says, deny yourself. Take up your cross. Come and die. Be willing to die to yourself, sort of, metaphorically. But die, be willing to die, like literally die, for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of Christ and his gospel. And if you get there, if you get to that spot, what the government does, what is popular for clicks and, well, nickels and noses, right? Followers and money will not matter, because you'll be faithful to the truth even if it doesn't pay off in the echo chamber. So, and your content will reflect it. Your actions will reflect it. You would rather see someone come to Christ than to see them partner with you so you can get more clicks and more followers on your platform. And if you say that it's not happening, I'll call you a liar to your face. It's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. Everyone partnering in order to help each other build their platforms and get donations and that sort of thing. And they'll look the other way on little things like the gospel, faithfulness to the gospel. Maybe it's even for a cause that is considered a very important cause. They'll do it for the sake of the cause, but they never get anywhere with the cause because they don't have God. They don't have Christ helping them because they don't have the power of God on their platform, over their character, over their content. So I'm trying to mix this message to both apply to like the garbage that's going on right now, but also to give you a way to assess yourself and ask yourself, how much time do you spend in the Word each day? Do you spend any, or do you spend more time creating content than you spend walking with Christ? Do you spend more time creating content than praying about the content that you're creating and the life that you live? Are you, because your life will be over very soon. Been dealing with that lately. A friend who died recently in our church. We've got a couple of people who've got family members who are basically in hospice and who are dying. Your life will be over soon. And when you stand before him, I think if you've just been playing this game Christ knows. He knows, and you will give an account for it. You will answer for your platform. You say, well, I was trying to do a good thing for a good cause, but you ignored his way of doing it. Well, you'll answer for that. So, because the scriptures say that you'll answer for everything that you've done. So, be mindful of what you're living for and whose you are, and let that drive your character, which will in turn drive your content.